Hey everybody, this is Matt from Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews, and I am here today to give you my top 9 most anticipated fantasy books coming out in the remainder of 2022. And let me just hop right into it. So starting off at number 9, we have The Murderbot Diaries, Book 7 by Martha Wells. This doesn't actually have a release date, but she typically releases about one Murderbot book a year. She's taken some years where she's skipped, but I'm guessing that the next Murderbot book is going to come out at the end of this year. This is book 7. I've read the first 5. I'm going to read the 6th one sometime in the next month or so. But while this is near the bottom of my list, all these books are books that are day one reads for me. So I am looking forward to it. I was getting a little bit down on the series a little bit. When it got towards like book 4 and 5, I thought were low points in the series. 3 and 4. I thought book 5 was really good. I did a review of this last month, and I thought it was fantastic. It was the first full-length novel for Murderbot. I've heard that she has planned with her publisher 2 more small books and 1 regular-sized novel. So here's hoping that book 7 is just as good as book 5. So number 8 is Mistborn Era 2, The Lost Metal, by Brandon Sanderson. This is going to come out November 15th, and I've mentioned multiple times on my videos that I'm not a huge fan of Mistborn Era 2, but I am going to read it as soon as it comes out. I don't do that for all Sanderson books. I'm not as big of a fan of his YA series, but I also have a lot of faith that Brandon Sanderson's best works come towards the end of his series. I know that he planned things out in extreme detail, and he's leading things towards a proper conclusion. And so I liked these books. I didn't love them, and I suspect that this last book in this era is going to be the best one of the bunch. More than anything, I'm really looking forward to this series being done so that we can look forward to the next era. I'm hoping that next era evokes a lot of the same style as that first era. I thought it was more kind of a serious tone. I don't love Brandon Sanderson's comedy, and he's trying to write, a lighthearted Western kind of comedy, which are 2 things that I love, but they don't blend well together when he does it. So, but I am looking forward to reading The Lost Metal on November 15th. Number 7 is Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is going to come out August 23rd. I am super jealous when I read all the reviews of people that I'm friends with on Goodreads that have already gotten an advanced copy. I did not get one, hoping I get one, but I'm not crossing my fingers because I suspect they're all kind of out by now. And now they're just going to kind of let things percolate for a little bit until August comes. But I've only read one R.F. Kuang book. I've read the first in the Poppy War. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I liked it a lot. I thought the end of the book was fantastic. And I'm actually about to start up the second in that series here in about 4 or 5 days. I'll start that up. I already got it from the library, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. But I've heard so many good things about this from a lot of people that I have a lot of trust in their opinion. So August 23rd for that book. Number 6 is Tales of Tremaine, the first binding by R.R. Verdi. I've not read any of his stuff before. This is going to come out August 16th. The cover is beautiful. The things that I've read about it are fantastic. I don't know a ton about it. I've just heard a lot of similarities given to, what book series is that similar to? I don't remember anymore. But it does look very intriguing. I like the poetic nature. I've heard a lot of people say that it's similar to. I like kind of the storyteller aspect that I've heard this is going to be really similar to. And a lot of excitement around it. It's getting fantastic reviews on Goodreads. Always a little leery about these self-published books getting huge ratings at the beginning. That often happens in Goodreads until you get the mass amount of ratings to really bring something down. But my hype level is high. So really looking forward to that. I've tried to get my hands on a copy and have failed to do so. But hopefully I can snag one. If not, I will be reading this book on August 16th. Number 5 is a book that I don't think a lot of people know about, but it's the Jekua series, Book 2. Doesn't have a title yet. This is by Travis Riddle. There's no date associated yet, but I did an interview on my channel with Travis Riddle, and he let me know that he's already written it. It'll come out later on this year, I think in the fall, but maybe the winter. This is a series that's like Pokemon inspired, very heavily Pokemon inspired. A lighthearted, low stakes fantasy that just like makes you feel like you're on a vacation. Pretty short read. I haven't played the Pokemon games in a long time. I'm actually playing. I got my kids a Switch, and I got that new Pokemon game, and it's kind of, I'm remembering so much of my youth playing those games that it's making me even more excited to read the second book from Jekua. But very low ratings on Goodreads. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Loved it a lot. I know you will too if you have any kind of love for Pokemon. Not even like a massive passion, but if that concept is intriguing to you, you're going to love that book. So very much looking forward to that coming out later this year. Book 4 is Cradle, Dread God by Will White. This is the 11th book in the Cradle series, and that is coming out in about a week on July 5th. Maybe that's 2 weeks. I'm not very good at math. But I have been obsessed with these Cradle books, like so many people have. And I really think that virtually every book has improved on the previous one. And that's a trend that you want to do as an author. The last book in the series was absolutely amazing. I think it was Reaper. And he saved this huge plot twist that I think a lot of people saw coming that I did not see coming. That just kind of left my jaw is still on the floor from that. If you've read that book, you know what I'm talking about. And the fact that these characters are getting more and more power as it goes on. I love these progression fantasy books. I've read a couple since then, and I love them all. It's clearly a genre that is just tailor-made for a video game fan like I am. So, man, I cannot wait for July 5th to come any faster. And I've already planned out my reading, so I'm going to be done with all the books that I'm reading by that date. So that comes out, I'm going to devour that book in about a day or two, and I'll get my review up immediately. Book number 3 is the Path to Ascendancy series, Forge of the High Mage by Ian C. Esselmont. This is in the Malazan universe. A lot of people have not read the Esselmont books, and you are doing yourself a major disservice. People think that Malazan is just Malazan Book of the Fallen. It is not. Ian C. Esselmont is childhood friends with Steven Erikson, and they've developed this series together. He writes these. He's written 2 series now. This is the second one. The first one was, I think, Novels of the Malazan Empire, and it kind of told a lot of offshoot stories, but had kind of a central theme to them. A lot of the same characters, but Erikson's universe in Malazan was huge that he delved into. But he had all these different continents that you never went to, you just knew lightly about. And Esselmont is taking a deep dive into these different areas, telling these different stories, and I love it. In the Path to Ascendancy series, he's telling a kind of a prequel story about 2 of the main characters, Kellanved and Dancer. And I love those 2 guys. They're so mysterious. I've always, when I've read these books, wanted to know about their history. And these books delve right into it. I have loved these books more and more as they've gone along. The last 2 books I gave a 5 out of 5. And man, this date can't come fast enough. It doesn't have a release date. It got pushed out. I thought for a while it actually got canceled, but I saw an interview with Esselmont a few months ago that mentioned that he's planning on releasing one of them later on this year and the next one next year. So I am like giddy with excitement to get back into the Malazan universe because I am all caught up. I've read all the Malazan books. Just finished my last one a couple weeks ago, reading the Botch-Landed Coral Brooch little mini series that I am absolutely in love with. So can't wait for that one. Number 2, we're really getting into the meat of it here. So this is Cradle, book 12. So if you're not familiar, Cradle, Will White releases 2 books a year. And I think book 12 is going to be the last book. Fantasy authors very famously write more books than they initially intended. I've heard multiple times that the plan is 12-ish books, which probably tells me it's 12 or 13. But like I mentioned a couple at number 4, that these books get better and better as they go along. And I suspect that the last book in this series is going to be the best of them all. And it's going to be where, the main characters are like demigods, and I'm here for it. I can't wait to see how this series finishes. These books are like, I get why people call Cradle crackle, because it is like a drug, and they can't come fast enough. The only downside of these books is they're so short. You get through them in like a day or two, and then you got to wait, 6 months for the next one to come out. But with most authors not coming out with books even close to that fast, I can't get too upset. It's only 6 months. The number one book on this series, on this list, is going to surprise a lot of people, but not those that have watched a lot of my videos, and it is the last book in the 5 Warrior Angels series, The Lonesome Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. This has a release date of November 29th. I'm not super confident that it's actually going to come out November 29th, but that's what it says on Goodreads, so I'm rolling with it. I say that because I watch a lot of Brian Lee Durfee reviews on his YouTube channel, and he has not dropped any dates about it when it's going to come out. He has released videos that says that it's done, that it's at the editors, that there's no more work for him to do. And that was a while ago. So I'm crossing my fingers that this book comes out. These books have turned into 2 of my favorite books that I've ever read of all time. And if this third book is as good as those previous 2, this is going to go in the conversation for me for the best fantasy series of all time. And that's exciting, especially for an author that's a little bit less well-known. There's not a ton of reviews on this. He's criminally underrated. And if you consider yourself a fantasy, if you like a grimdark story, it's not excessively grimdark, but it does have a lot of grimdark elements. If you like an epic fantasy, what are you doing? Go read this book series. It's amazing. The author is awesome. He's got a great YouTube channel where he devours books. He reads like a book a day. It's crazy how fast and how much he reads. He's funny. I finished reading his books and I gave him high reviews. He reached out to me and sent me a couple of signed copies of his books, which is super nice. And he did not need to do that. But I look forward to when I reread these books, reading them in physical version, because I typically read all my books in Kindle. So cannot wait. Those are my 9 books. If I'm missing something on this list that you're excited about, drop it in the comments. And I thank you so much for giving me your time and watching this video. Have a good one.